145% tariffs, 125% retaliation, and a global trade system on life support. This isn't a trade war, it's a hard reset. And just when the media thinks Trump's lost the plot, he drops a twist. Electronics, now they're exempt. So is this chaos or a calculated play? If you're done with globalist nonsense and ready for straight talks, subscribe to America's Geopolitics. Let's break it down. Okay, this wasn't a bluff. President Trump just unleashed the biggest tariff escalation in modern history. 145% on Chinese imports effective immediately. This isn't about tweaking trade deals. It's a complete realignment of American economic strategy. We're talking tariffs on everything from steel and aluminum to clothing, pharmaceuticals, and auto parts. Trump is framing this as Liberation Day, a declaration of independence from a system that's hauled out the American heartland for decades. Of course, it's a system we built, but nobody's perfect. And while the media calls it economic suicide, Trump sees it as economic sovereignty. China didn't just match those tariffs. They raised the stakes. They jumped it from 84 to 125% on a wide range of American exports. Soybeans, aircraft components, advanced machinery, even U.S. pharmaceuticals are now facing brutal roadblocks into the Chinese market. But here's the key. While China hits agricultural manufacturing, they've stopped short of touching U.S. tech. No restrictions on semiconductors, no bans on iPhones, no direct strikes on the U.S. digital backbone. Why? Well, because they need it as much as we do. Cutting off the tech tap would do more damage to Beijing than to Washington. Amid all the heavy-handed tariffs, Trump carves out one very specific exemption: consumer electronics. Smartphones, laptops, chips. At first glance, it looks inconsistent. Why hit everything except the most high-tech Chinese products? But here's the real game. Trump isn't trying to crash the economy. He's trying to decouple it. I wouldn't say carefully, but he is trying to decouple it. Electronics are the Achilles heel of America's supply chain. Too much, too fast, and the prices explode, consumers revolt, and the markets tank. So instead, he's executing a strategic filter. He hits low-end Chinese manufacturing hard. Clothing, appliances, cheap junk. You know, the dollar store stuff. But he spares the system still tightly bound to U.S. innovation, just long enough to build the replacements. Look at the markets. Apple's up, Nvidia is up. Wall Street, they took one look at these exemptions and said, okay, maybe there's a plan here. This isn't an all-out war on everything, it's a surgical strike. Trump's message to the private sector, though, is very clear. I'll protect the industries we still need, but I'm giving you a deadline. Reshore or get ready to pay. This isn't about chaos as usual, it's more about control. And the more you look, the more you realize. Trump's not playing checkers. I know everybody wants to say 4D chess, but I don't even think that's true. He's just trying to play a game in a way he sees fit. Let's zoom in on electronics for a second. Why is it so important? Because even though America leads in chip design, China still dominates in chip assembly and rare earth processing. That's why tech exemptions matter. You can't just slap tariffs on a product when your own supply chain still runs through the rival. This is the slow part of decoupling. It's not about waving a flag, it's just about rebuilding the factory floor back in America. Trump knows this. He's saying to American tech companies, you've had 30 years to diversify. Now I'm lighting a fire under your ass. Get the job done. Yes, tariffs are going to raise prices in the short term. Yes, some industries are going to be hit very bad. But the point isn't to keep buying the same cheap junk forever. The point is to rebuild capacity here at home. Factories in Ohio, assembly lines in Texas, battery plants in Michigan. You think Trump cares if prices go up on dollar store socks? He's betting that Americans will trade cheap for secure, global access for national strength. This isn't isolationism, this is realism. So is it reckless? Probably. Is it the most calculated economic maneuver since Reagan took on Japan? We won't know that for decades. But here's what the media won't tell you. Trump isn't throwing darts. He's redesigning the global system. If that means tariffs, so be it. If it means short-term pain, bring it on. Because when the dust settles, the nations that control their own production, that can feed their own people, that don't rely on rivals for medicine or chips or energy, they're the nations that survive. And we've seen this play out time and time again. So Trump, he's just the first guy in decades willing to say it out loud. As I said before, if you're done with the globalist nonsense and ready for straight talk, subscribe to America's Geopolitics. And hey, if you really want to support the channel, check out the links in the description below. This is Frank for America's Geopolitics. See you next time.